Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the fourth race of the Dynasty Stock Car Racing League Chase Playoffs here. And tonight we take on Richmond. After 2 weeks off, thanks to Thanksgiving, we hope everybody had a great holiday out there. I know Jake Bustos did, winning the last race before we went to break there. But tonight, this playoff race heats up even more. My name is William Tiller. I am joined by my co-host of the evening, Carlos Acosta, and our pit road reporter, Kynan Jones. And Carlos, here tonight, it's a bit of a smaller field, but still a competitive field nonetheless.
Yeah, we got 10 fast racing machines here tonight at the beautiful Richmond Raceway in Virginia. And, well, after the huge upset that was Bustos winning, and in terms of upset, me being my predictions is what got upset. I can kind of possibly see the same thing possibly happening again tonight. As a matter of fact, I've done something similar to that before in a league race, where at the end of the race, I had a set of tires and I qualified outside the top 15, and in 6 laps and 2 cautions, I was able to end up finishing in second.
Yeah, here tonight, though, all eyes should be on top of that points table with only 2 races left in the season here. And what a wonderful season it has been. Of course, it has been dominated by Nick and Delicato during the regular season. But here now in these playoff races, it has been dominated by Darth Vader himself, Barrett Paul Hemus, who is on top of that points table. You can see it right on the right-hand corner of your screen if you're watching along with us at home on 3Wide TV. Barrett Paul Hemus has a 32-point lead on Nick and Delicato. And coming into this race, Carlos, I think if he could, I don't know if he's racing here tonight. I have yet to see the field who's going to be racing here. But if he's racing here tonight and he picks up a win, I think that could all but solidify his championship race there.
Well, let's see if he is in the track or not. No, you're right. I don't see him. Yeah, Barrett Paul Hemus is not on track right now, and well, qualifying, I believe, is going to be wrapping up here within the next couple of seconds. 11 drivers on track, and I want to give a shout out to C. Warren at NASCAR.com for being the sponsor of the chase and the graphic. Remember, if you need tickets to a real NASCAR race here at Richmond, as well as Darlington, Martinsville, or the all-new Chicago Street Course, contact Davis and C. Warren at NASCAR.com. But I believe...
Yeah, Chicago Street Race looks like a fun one, Carlos.
Yeah, it's going to be... I'm pretty interested to see how that's going to look like in real life. But, well, I believe I'm going to have you go through the whole race qualifying lineup starting now.
Yeah, let's go over that starting lineup for the Virginia 150. Here tonight, starting on the pole, will be Tom Ogle right there. He's ran very strong. Currently top 5 in the points. Right next to him will be DJ Weeks in that 97 machine, also top 5 in the points. Right there in the third position, number 90, Johnny Eckerd. Fourth will be David Westergreen in the 22. Josh Robinson in the 30 will roll off 5th here tonight. John Navarro in the 61 will roll off 6th. Jake Bustos, a winner from about a week ago. We took the Thanksgiving holiday off. We'll start off 7th here tonight. Dallas Mahan from Shift Esports will roll off 8th. Seth Rawls in 9th. And Jeremy Nevin in 10th.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun field tonight. Small car count, of course. No denying that, but that does not mean we're not going to have a good time here tonight at Richmond. This track has been home to many great races and also many great championship changes as well here at Richmond. But well, I also want to give a chance to have Kynan get on the mic and talk to him a little bit. It's been 2 weeks since the last race that we broadcasted, and of course well, we celebrated Thanksgiving over here in the United States. I believe Kynan, you guys did not celebrate Thanksgiving because that's an American thing. But what did you do to kind of like take the week off, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I just decided to take a bit of a break away from everything. Just maybe start looking at how the iRacing season is looking ahead till next season and seeing some very interesting cars and tracks coming. iRacing is going to be certainly shaping up with how they're changing GT3, but the drivers tonight aren't going to be driving in a GT3 car, a lot less downforce and a completely different tire profile, so it's going to be interesting to see how, even though they're changing, how the next gens will change going into next season. And with the DSCR league coming, or championship coming to an end in a couple of weeks, not a lot of time left, but with the iRacing patch just around the corner, how is that going to change what happens with these next gens?
Well, when is the week, or sorry, when is the update dropping? Because we still have, after this one, 2 races remaining.
Well, I believe this week was week 11, going into week 12 this week. Actually, I can check.
So it's an. I wonder if the last race of the season could
12.
be affected.
Going to
We're
be
on
very
week 12.
interesting to go to Homestead and see if maybe they change setup, because from my experience with broadcasting elsewhere with the next gen, that people were getting very loose on exit at Homestead just because of how the setup was. So it's going to be very interesting. But pace car is in. I'll leave it back up to using the booth.
Here we go, folks. Tom Ogle and DJ Weeks will take us to the green flag, and we're on racing here in the Virginia 150 chase race number 4. As Tom Ogle is going to take us down into that corner as the race leader. Corner number 1 is going to be Tom Ogle taking us around on the exit down the backstretch right now.
Yeah, side by side, these drivers still go for 1 and 2, although the advantage is going to stay with Tom Ogle in the White Claw machine. It's been a hot minute since I've seen that machine. It's been a hotter minute since I've seen him leading a race. So I get to see him out on track, leading the first lap here. And stage 1 is going to be ending on lap 40. And remember, for all the people who are tuning in that are brand new, there's somebody getting loose in the back. There will not be a caution at the end of the stage, so these drivers are going to continue racing just like as if there were no stages.
Yes, Tom Ogle takes us down into corner number 1. Carlos just touched on it here. Stage number 1 will officially wrap at lap 40. No breaks in the action here. It's almost like the World Cup the folks at home have been watching here the past couple of weeks. There's no break in the action here in the DSCR. Stage number 2 will end on lap 110. Here tonight, these drivers will have 1 set of tires on the race car, 3 sets in the garage. No fast repairs here tonight, and the fuel limit will be 75%. So even though this is a small field in the Virginia 150, still a lot of strategies, a lot of things to think about here as this race ticks down. But here on lap 4, still Tom Ogle leading the way around the corner to the front stretch.
Yeah, no change here for the first 3 drivers who have single filed out. I think a little bit further back. I think the majority of the field has single filed out, with the exception of Jeremy Niven and I believe that's Dallas Myhan. No, excuse me, that's Jake Bustos. The last race winner 2 weeks ago, pulling off an amazing strategy of saving a set of tires. But 10 drivers on the field. 3 of those drivers are not playoff drivers. They are not chase drivers, I should say. So that's Myhan, Bustos, and Niven, who are running 7th, 8th, and 9th. And, well, if you're a playoff driver, you do not want to finish, or if you're a chase driver, you do not want to finish behind these guys if there are other chase drivers ahead of you, because you're giving up free points right there. And, well, Rawls was behind Niven, Bustos, and Myhan, but now has passed Niven, resulting him in only kind of losing just 2 points out of the rest of the field. So you really can't make mistakes here. And if you do, you don't have that many places to get those spots back, considering there's only 10 drivers here. These are 10 good drivers. Well, if you make a mistake, the chances of you getting back up to the front are going to be very slim.
Yeah, exactly, Carlos, as we're coming around corner number 2 right now down the backstretch. And if we could flash that points table there on the screen for the folks at home once again, I think all eyes here tonight should be on Tom Ogle and DJ Weeks. Right there, if you look at that points table, of course, no Barrett Polhemus tonight, no Nick Indelicato here tonight. So for DJ Weeks and Tom Ogle, this is a huge, huge opportunity in order to get some points on those leaders and maybe make a race of this thing here the last 2 races of the season. Because right there, you see it's already very tight. Only about 40 points separates Tom Ogle and DJ Weeks from the top of the table. So with a win here tonight and those other drivers not racing in this race at Richmond, could really straighten things up just a little bit heading into those last 2 races of the season. taking on those two drivers. Tom Ogle still leading the way here on lap 10. DJ Weeks is down in the third position, and they always super competitive. Johnny Eckert is right in the middle of them in second as we're coming down into corner number 1.
Yeah, Johnny Eckert has been slowly gaining on Tom Ogle. Let me see if I can pull up the actual points telemetry. The timing telemetry, including the top 3 drivers. And with the exception of the last lap, Johnny Eckert has been gaining quite a decent amount of time over Tom Ogle.
Yeah, and you see right there, Johnny Eckert is almost a twinsy with Tom Ogle's car right there. We see a little bit of a wiggle coming off of corner number 2 right there. He's trying to catch that draft coming off of Tom Ogle. Looks like he has that run, Carlos. He just needs to maintain that car out of the exit of these corners. It looks like that's where he's losing the most speed. He's getting a little wiggle going on. See, right there on the entry, he's getting a huge run. He's got a huge run right now. He's just going to stick this landing out of the corner, and he does just that. You see if he can hold onto this speed, head down to 3 and 4. He has the run there, Carlos. He just has to maintain.
Yeah, the issue with Eckert's strategy is that while he does get an impressive amount of drive into the corner, he's just not able to get that car to rotate as smoothly and quickly as Tom Ogle is able to do it on his car. That results in Eckert getting a bunch of time gained on the initial entry of the corner, but then losing a bunch of momentum and time on the exit of the corner there. You're going to see it specifically in the exit of turns 2, not as much on the exit of 4 because of the fact that it's more of an arc. But you can even see, based on how Eckert is attacking the corner from this in-car point of view, how quicker he gets to the inside, the narrower and the sharper turning angle he has to do on that number 90 machine compared to Tom Ogle's slow arc into the corner, resulting in what you see here of Ogle getting a much faster and quicker drive off the corner.
Yeah, as we're now settled into lap 16 here, heading down the backstretch. Still Tom Ogle leading the way. We're riding on board with Johnny Eckert there in that 90. But I'll cut to our pit road reporter, Kynan Jones. And Kynan, I talked about it to start this broadcast. These drivers only have 1 set of tires on these cars. They have 3 sets in the garage and a 75% fuel capacity. What do you think is going to be the pit strategy for some of these drivers now? We're on lap 17, about halfway through stage number 1.
Well, looking at lap times is the first thing to do. We're not quite at 20 laps into the run, but Johnny Eckert has the fastest lap. He ran a 22.315, but now he's been running 22.8, so about half a second fall off, and that's roughly what I'm seeing between the top 2. But right now it seems more like the car's maybe getting a bit looser, so maybe if you come down, take a pair of tires a little bit earlier, and then that way you can get out new tires, whip it around the track as fast as you can. Those newer tires, hope that the car behind then comes in to try cover you, but if you have been able to gain enough time with those newer tires, you'll be able to perform an undercut and then elevate yourself up a position. We're seeing so far it's not easy to pass, and we saw it in real life as well here at Richmond. It's not an easy track to pass in these next gen cars, so winning it off pit road is going to be the first target.
Yeah, exactly. I think even with a small field like this, it's still important to make sure you pit the correct time. You make sure you race that, win the race off the pit road. But here tonight, do you think with only 10 drivers racing around Richmond here, do you think it's good to maybe take some gambles with that pit strategy? Maybe push those windows a little bit longer, that way you can stay out on track longer? Or do you think these drivers are just sticking to their plans as usual?
Well, some drivers will have set plans that they think about before the race, but in the race anything can happen. Some drivers may try to follow that plan exactly, but what happens if you get a late race caution like we saw a couple weeks ago at Kansas? Anything can really happen, so just leaving yourself open to the option to be able to change on the fly, whilst also being able to get the most pace. If there's no cautions, which on a small field like tonight, a caution, despite being on a short track, isn't the highest likelihood, so just trying to be as flexible as you can sometimes be a very worth thing to do, especially if you're in the 4th position, say DJ Weeks. You try something different, try extend the first run, just so then you can cut down on the tire wear for the 2nd and 3rd run, then a late run caution. you then get new tires sooner, and then say someone uses their tires from an earlier caution, they're out, you might be able to challenge for the win or at least a podium.
Awesome, Kyle. Well, we appreciate it, my man. I'm sure we'll be talking to you here soon when these drivers start to head down pit road here on lap 24. But Carlos, we're looking at Tom Ogle. He's really solidified his spot on the top of the grid right now, with Johnny Eckert in that number 90 trying to keep pace, and Josh Robinson's now worked his way up inside the top 3. You know, I'm always impressed by the runs out of Josh Robinson there in that 30 machine. You know, week in and week out, he's always sort of been the underdog, overshadowed by a lot of these drivers here in this league. He was first alternate in a Dash for Cash race during the regular season. He got into the playoffs as well from racing very consecutively throughout the end of the season. And now here tonight running in the 3rd position, a little bit further down that points table than maybe that he liked. Ooh, we see some drivers already getting a little sideways. But here tonight, Carlos, he could surprise some people, win this race at Richmond, and put his name into the mix for the championship here wrapping up the season.
We were talking about Josh Robinson earlier, and you were talking about him getting into 3rd place. And while I think Josh Robinson may have the fastest car in the field at the current moment, running circles around Johnny Eckert, has finally passed him. He's going to be clearing here. Actually, has already cleared him going into turns 1 and 2. And now it just has to worry about one more driver before Josh Robinson goes into 1st place, and that's your current race leader, Tom Ogle. I do want to point out something, but the thing is, I forgot what I was going to say, and I was hoping that by this point I would have already remembered, but I didn't, so we'll just take over.
Yeah, definitely. Here now we see Josh Robinson's hitting that inside lane, tapping that yellow line with those left side tires right there. As Carlos mentioned, his lap times are a lot better than our leader of Tom Ogle right now. He's got just a few laps here. I'd say about 12 laps to go here to catch Tom Ogle to snatch those bonus points. That's a big thing about this race here tonight, Carlos, here at Richmond. Even though it's a small field, these drivers that are only 40 points away from the top of the points table, you start winning some stages. You win stage 1, stage 2, a clean sweep of the stages is probably what a lot of these drivers want to do here tonight, and you win the race. That's a lot of points you can walk away from this race with.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, the shorter car field lets a lot of the drivers who may not usually get to run in the top 5, top 10 get to come out here at some points. Everybody here is confirmed to at least get 1 point. Or I should say everybody here is confirmed to at least get 2 points. I'm not sure how it would count. Maybe this is a kind of a question that you guys can, that people can debate of if you wreck out and then don't actually finish stage 1, do you actually get stage points when the drivers go through that and stage 1 ends? That would be, I would say they probably don't, because they probably need to actually finish stage 1, the driver does. But it's a pretty interesting topic to have.
Yeah, as now we're seeing Josh Robinson's eating up that space on the racetrack like Pac-Man eats up those yellow little dots on that game screen. You see the run that he's now starting to, momentum is building here in that 30 machine. He is right on that back bumper. But we've seen this before, though, with Tom Ogle. He let Johnny Eckert get close to him, and then he separated once again.
Yeah, we're also seeing Johnny Eckert kind of having some good laps, or some faster laps, and then some slower laps compared to the top 2 drivers. It could just be a part of Eckert trying to save fuel, or I should say tires, or it could just be that Eckert's just maybe trying to figure some things out, and some things are working and some things aren't. The pattern is that this one should be a faster lap time, and it isn't. It was actually pretty slow. So Eckert's out here either experimenting or saving stuff, as Jeremy Niven has pulled down into below the apron and has taken a tow. So something must have happened to Jeremy Niven. Let me see if I can possibly find something. Let me clear up some of these graphics under this. Let's see what happened to Niven.
Yeah, we'll check out this replay here live on 3Y TV.
Ooh.
You see Nevin right there. Hard impact there on the exit of the corner. That's corner number 2 there. It takes a hard impact there, Carlos.
Definitely between the 2 exit corners and the track, this one's definitely the harder one. And it's going to hit the hardest. If you do mess it up, you're pretty much hitting it flat up against it. So that's one less driver out on the field. Now we have 9 drivers, and all now we got to think is, if Nevin doesn't finish all 40 laps in the stage, does he not get that stage point? Or as soon as the leader finishes the stage points start getting awarded? I don't know. I don't think he'll be getting those stage points if he doesn't finish at least stage 1.
No, I don't think so either. Their early retirement from Nevin there in that 07 machine, but keeping an eye out on these leaders and the rest of the pack here. We got Johnny Eckerd right there, DJ Weeks. I spotlighted DJ Weeks to start this race here tonight in that 97 machine. Really has to have a good run here tonight, possibly win this race here tonight and get himself at the top of that points table. Look at the rest of the drivers here in the field. Past DJ Weeks, we're looking at John DeBarro there in the 5th position. Racing pretty good here tonight, about 5 seconds off the pace. I'm sure that'll change as this race proceeds. We got Dallas Myhan right there in the 6th position out of Shift Esports. Then you see his team captain, Seth Rawls, in the 7th position as well, out of Shift Esports. Then you see last week's winner right there, Carlos. Jake Bustos not having the run like he had at Kansas about 2 weeks ago. Basically taking his time. We saw this out of the 74 where he took his time. He made his strategies pay off. He stayed out, took some gambles, and he won that race. So maybe he can do it here once again. And then we look at rounding out the field here on track is David Westergreen in that 22 machine. Off the pace here just a little bit, about 15 seconds off the pace. But it looks like we're going to have an end to stage number 1 here, Carlos.
Yep. Entering turns 3 and 4 for the last time here in stage number 1. Tom Ogle is going to cross exit start finish line, or excuse me, exit turns 3 and 4, going to cross start finish line. Finally got it right that 3rd time. He will win stage 1, and I believe that may just be his first stage victory of the season. No, actually, excuse me, this is his 3rd stage win of the season. That will move him up to actually 2nd most of the season, because right now it's Barry Paul Hemus who is not racing tonight. He's got 6 of those. Then it's a tie for 2nd between Zach Robinson, John DeBarro, Alex Buffoli, Tom Ogle, Sam Brochu. Actually, it's just those drivers right there. It's a 5-way tie for 2nd, but it doesn't matter anymore because Tom Ogle won the stage. So that's going to bring him up to 3 this season, and 2nd most right now. But, you know, still very young.
What a stage win it is for Tom Ogle there to win that stage. Still cruising along in that lead position here on top of the grid. Next stage end will be lap 110 here at Richmond here in the Virginia 150 as we're watching Tom Ogle right there. Lap times assumed to even out just a little bit as we come off corner number 4. Tom Ogle is going to hit this line here on lap 44 down into corner number 1. Still our race leader. But Carlos, you know, one thing that we have to calculate for here as we're seeing these drivers race in the stage number 2 is that window. When are these drivers going to start to head down pit road? You know, even with a smaller field, you know, those things you still have to think about. You're still in that cockpit as you see Jake Bustos down in that 74 machine down pit road. Could be the first domino to fall here in the cars that'll head down. And that way we can sort of figure out and calculate that window for the rest of the race here on lap 45. As we're going to take a look at those Shift Esports teammates right there, Seth Rawls and Dallas Myhan. Seth Rawls has overtaken Dallas Myhan.
Yeah, and kind of, what are we seeing out here tonight? Are pit roads starting, or is Bustos repairing damage?
Just from what I've seen, I haven't seen the 74 get up into the wall, so it could just be a attempted undercut. His last time by was, or he had ran a 22.461 at the start of the race, but just before pitting he was running low 23, so tire wear is about average with everyone, so he might be just trying to pull off an undercut, but he has been in pit road for quite a while now, and I have not seen his tires pop up.
Yeah, I'm seeing about 45, 47 seconds. It's entirely possible that Bustos may just be calling it early, or something has come up that he has had to go down pit road, but it looks like Bustos may not be starting the pit stop strategy just quite yet. As Will, why don't you take over for a bit while I update some of the graphics on screen.
Yeah, we're taking a look at Tom Ogle leading the way here on lap 48. Josh Rumson is in the 2nd spot. DJ Wicks is right there in 3rd, about 5 seconds off the pace. And Kyan, I'll bring you in for this one here on lap 48. We're looking at Tom Ogle, Josh Robinson really having a race there at the top of the grid. If you're further down the grid here, when do you start to think about the pit road? Because right now you're so far off the pace that you're not really racing for the lead. You're really just holding on to that position. With a field like this here tonight, you get that pit strategy out of the way early. Is that a beneficial strategy for some of these drivers that are a little off the pace?
Yeah, when you come down pit road, you're going to be exposing yourself for burning up tires too early and then not having enough rubber towards the end of the race. But for the top two, you're running around 23.4s, nearly 23.5s. But for DJ and Johnny in fourth and fifth, they're running 23 8s and 9s. So they're going to be the first ones to really start thinking about coming down pit road with the cars. Looks like Johnny Eckert coming down pit road this time by. Right as I was saying, how you would be most likely seeing him down first.
Yeah, I was speaking about that. Which domino will fall first? It looks like Johnny Eckert will be the first domino to fall of those leaders heading down pit road here on lap 50. So that kind of gives us an idea there, kind of what the pit window is looking like here. Around 50 laps is what these drivers can put on those tires here. You know, it's not really going to be a fuel battle. I don't think here towards the end. It's going to be more so tires here at Richmond because you use a lot of that inside lane, so a lot of stretch is going to be on the left side of those machines here tonight. Tom Ogle still our race leader. Josh Robinson right there in second, and DJ Weeks will be third. Just waiting to see when other drivers will start to head down pit road here, kind of taking it down here on lap 53. You know, Tom Ogle is still running solid laps there at the top. Doesn't seem like he's slowing down at all.
So Tom Ogle was quicker than the second place number 30 Joshua Robinson, which has just let the new tire car of Dallas Myhan slip his way by, but Seth Rolls has also decided to bring it down into pit road and is coming out in front of his Shift Esports teammate. But right now the 30 has lost a lot of pace to the 83, but having let a couple cars by, that is going to slow you down. So right now the leader has been running very consistent, and that consistency is certainly paying off, but he will surely be coming down within the next 5 laps by my estimates.
Yeah, so maybe 55 is the stretch that you can do here at Richmond. Right now, you're seeing a battle right there as Josh Robinson's trying to hold on there, but now some of the drivers are going to have to get their laps back. And now Dallas Myhan is about 2 laps down here already here at Kynan, and we're going to watch this breakdown here. Let's see which drivers head down. Are already starting to see some drivers a lap down as the leaders have yet to pit right now. As David Westgreen is trying to get his lap back there on the back of Tom Ogle right here on lap 56. This is chase race number 4, the DSCR from Richmond Motor Speedway. This is Virginia 150 here live on 3Y TV. And Carlos, you're watching Tom Ogle hold on in this lead position. Could Tom really use this as his, you know, to his advantage, where you can put the rest of the field a lap down, and then you head down pit road? I guess I'll throw that question over to you, Kynan. Do you think he could use that as an advantage here? Yeah, of course he's holding off Josh Robinson there in that 30. DJ Weeks is not too far off, about 9 seconds off. That is pretty far here racing, but do you think if he could stay out as long as he can, push that envelope, lap the rest of the field, could he use that to his advantage?
You can really only take advantage of that if it then goes green to the end. I nearly pulled it off at a Charlotte race in Oscar, which you can also see on Freewide TV, but unfortunately there was a caution at the worst time, and it meant that what would have been a 3rd position ended up becoming like 12th, I believe it was. But it is possible, but you need the cards to fall into your favor. The rough estimate lap on to do it on 3 stops is around lap 58, 59, so I'm a little bit surprised Tom Ogle hasn't actually brought it down pit road, but maybe if you're the 2nd place car of the number 30, I'd bring it in either this time by or next, counting on there not being a caution from how spread out the field has gotten.
Yeah, right now you see Josh Robinson. DJ Weeks is now down pit road there in that number 97 machine, and so that's going to leave about 3 cars. They're still on the lead lap, and Tom Ogle is going to go by here once again. John DeBarlo is right there in the third position, about 15 seconds off the pace. Josh Robinson looks like he's going to stick with Tom Ogle. He's going to play follow the leader there, kind of. Whatever Tom Ogle does, Josh Robinson will do in that 30 machine, which is very smart, putting himself in a position to follow him around here on the track. Knowing that Tom Ogle has the fastest car, it's been apparent here 62 laps into this race with the lap times, the consistency that he has run here at Richmond. And following him down pit road could be very, very beneficial because it keeps him from going a lap down as well.
Yeah, that is true. They are in a chat with each other, so they are able to communicate and work together. Ogle seems to be the better car right now, but maybe Joshua will think about maybe rolling the dice and trying to elevate himself up a position. He has second place right now, but after pit cycles, Johnny Eckert will be the first car to inherit the lead if he can keep up the pace and just be able to close the gap on these new tyres. And then with the 2 leaders having to bring it down pit road, that will cost them a lot of time and will then bring it back into those new tyres' favor. But Johnny Eckert came down 15 laps ago at the line, so those tyres are going to be very worn out and going to be not too difficult for the leaders to be able to elevate themselves back past and get themselves into the first and second position again.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be more of an endurance battle here tonight at Richmond, as you now see DJ Weeks is down pit road as well. But, see David Westergreen down pit road again. They're kind of, some of these drivers, DJ Weeks now 3 laps down in that number 97 machine. So interesting to see what may have happened with that number 97. DJ we talked about here could win the race here tonight, put himself in an excellent position here the last 2 races of the season. Doesn't look like he's going to get that job done here tonight, being 3 laps down. Looks like he's going to be the last car on the grid right up there, as Jake Bustos is yet to head out of pit road. Looks like he's retired here tonight. We saw what happened to Nevin as well. And you look at those point standings there in the right-hand corner of your screen, folks, if you're watching along with us here on 3Y TV. It's very important. I'd say, kind of realistically speaking, we're looking at maybe with 2 races to go, the top 5 on the points table there. Looking at Hess has had a really good season. David Westergreen's had a really great season as well. But I would say really 5th and up has a realistic shot at the championship. Of course, a lot of chips have to fall, a lot of dominoes have to fall for them to claim that championship at the end. But, for Tom Ogle, Josh Robinson, DJ Weeks is having a rough night here tonight, 3 laps down. And, a win here tonight, some bonus points, that could put you right in the mix with Nick and Delicato in the second position, or maybe even putting some heat on Barrett Polhemus his last 2 races of the season.
With the first and second position in the championship not being here tonight, that's going to give a lot of points up for grabs if DJ Weeks can just find that pace, or even Ogle just continue the pace that he's showing, pick up the points throughout the entire race and be able to elevate himself up through the points. Every little point you can gain, and especially with it coming down to the season finale in a couple of weeks' time, every little point counts. And with the first and second position in the championship not being here tonight, that's going to open the door nice and wide for you.
Nice and wide indeed. And one of the things that I like to touch on, Kynan, and I actually didn't get to it here to start this race, everybody is familiar with Richmond here in these Cup cars. How do you take on a track like this? It's a short track, but it's a bit longer. The corners are a little bit wider there. Looks like a lot of the drivers here are touching that yellow line with the tires. Is this a track that you can let off, or do you have to brake in the corners?
There's going to be braking, downshifting, and you've got to be turning and then also making sure not to apply too much throttle and give it too much beans on exit, as we like to say here at 3Y. But if you can just do that, you're not even guaranteed to be quick, because there is other lines that you can run occasionally, but it seems like the low line is the preferred lane in these next gens. But you can run a little bit higher up than just the yellow line, so that does open up the corner trajectory a little bit, but it does mean that when it's a bit harder to pass on the outside, tires are going to have to be the thing to get you by. But when you're on such a long run, those tires are not going to be able to handle too well. But when you're in a car like this, which is so heavy, so much weight pushing down on the rubber, it's going to be chipping away at the tires very quickly.
Yeah, quickly indeed. As now we're watching still Tom Ogle and Josh Robinson there on the top of the grid. Still our leaders on the racetrack right now. Really just a two-car race right now as John DeBarro is about 23 seconds off the pace. Johnny Eckerd's been able to get that lap back. He's also about 23 seconds off the pace right here tonight. This is chase race number 4. 2 more races to go here in the DSCR. We're watching Josh Robinson there right in that number 30 machine. And kind of, we watch this taking place. It's about a 2-car battle right now. John DeBarro is right there in 4th on lap 76. We'll have another stage end at lap 110. How do you see the end of the stage playing out?
Well, the thing that I'm particularly watching is how long are the leaders going to stay out? You can see Johnny closing the gap, but Johnny's tires are only about a second quicker than the leader, so time is running out to be able to catch him. But what is the fuel like for the leaders? Because I didn't expect them to be going this long, but just being running consistent and have the pace. If they pit now, they're not going to have enough time to be able to get the stage point, so the fuel is very interesting, but maybe they're going to try do a one-stop and be there in the end. Johnny Eckerd tires are now 28 laps older than the leaders, so they're going to have very nice rubber towards the end of the race.
Alright, so I'm back again, but so far we have yet to see the top 2 drivers, the top 2 drivers stay out, Tom Ogle and Josh Robinson. Johnny Eckerd did go down pit road already, and he's actually gone past John DeBarro, who has not gone down pit road at the moment. So we're already seeing some of these drivers who went down pit road. That strategy is already kind of working. For drivers like John DeBarro who haven't gone down pit road quite yet, it doesn't appear to just necessarily be working for them at the time being. Do you see this strategy kind of working for Ogle and Robinson, your top 2 right now, or do you think the longer they stay out, the worse it's going to be?
Well, if it was a short run, then having those old tires is not going to be very beneficial, but they seem to be stretching it, trying to cut down on the amount of pit stops they need to make. You can see how much time that Johnny has lost from pitting on lap 50 and 51 to get the first set of new tires. He only got his lap back and is still about 15 seconds back from the leaders, so he has to gain a lot of time to be able to get his way back up. But then when the leaders do make their pit stop, they're going to get new tires, but with those new tires they're going to have to wear, but they're not going to be wearing as badly as 30 lap old tires. So right now I'm actually counting on Tom Ogle and Joshua Robinson. Without a caution, we'll be able to pick up the 1-2 position at the end of this race.
Interesting. Well, they definitely do have the pace for it right now. We have less than 30 laps to go here before stage number 1 ends. We'll have to step away for a very quick emergency moment, so he should be back here very soon. Nothing to worry about though. So we've already got a couple drivers who went down pit road on lap 50. I'm expecting them to go down pit road. Are we expecting them to go down pit road on lap 100, or do you think they're going to try to stretch it a little bit longer, seeing what Ogle and Robinson have done?
Well, with the drivers, they're a bit more committed to a 2-stop now, unless there is enough gas to go 125 laps on a tank of fuel, but something tells me with the fuel being limited to 75% of official standards, there's not going to be quite enough there. But I'm seeing a lot of radio chatter from Tom Ogle onto race control, and he will be bringing it down into pit road this time by, so your leaders should be pitting. First and second should be both in. Looking back, Joshua Robinson
He stayed out.
Stays out on racetrack.
Interesting.
So,
Interesting.
Going
Do you think he missed the memo?
stage points potentially? I don't really see
but
how
stage
they.
point is that's not going to be happening for a hot minute.
It's very peculiar, but especially with Joshua being the slower of the two cars, so maybe it's an attempt to try slow up Eckert, who is 7 seconds back by my timing, so it's a strange call to make. I would have personally wanted to follow the leader in, but maybe the 30 is just trying something different, which we did talk about earlier on, but I don't see how this will work out. Oh, actually, looking at the lap number, we're currently on lap 88 of 175. Maybe he's trying to stretch it to halfway and then be able to take it on a one stop. So the drivers know what their fuel consumption is. They will also know what their tire consumption is at the end of the run, but by my calculations, lap 87 is the magic lap, and to do
There
it
it is.
on one pit stop, and there he is.
Now that's real interesting. The way it's going, it does seem like this would work for Robinson. Now, the question is, did Ogle jump the gun a little too quickly, or did he stay out as far as he could, and then just Robinson was able to save a bit more fuel to go a couple more laps? Because if that's the case, then it's an easy win for Robinson. But if there's still a couple more laps in the tank, then it's possible it's still a two-car race.
Well, you say it's an easy win for Robinson, but we're only at the halfway, Carlos. I wouldn't get that antsy just yet. It's still a very long way to go, and who knows what happens if we get a late race caution and then people are brought back onto a lead lap if they go a lap down, but it'll also level out the strategies.
It would indeed. Now, if a caution does come out at this point, we would only have on the restart 5 drivers on the lead lap, because Ogo is still on the lead lap, but Robinson is a lap down. But yeah, because Robinson would stay out. He'll get the free pass, but Ogo will probably also stay out as well. It hasn't really been that long since he's gone down pit road, and in doing so, that will track Weeks, DeBarro, 2 laps down, Western Green 3 laps down. So that's going to make it harder for those guys to get back on the free pass. So they want to run a couple more laps before caution comes out if you're more than a lap down.
If you're more than a lap down, you're hoping and praying for a caution or at least something to happen. But when you're running in the top 5, and especially for Ogle, who is running for the championship right now and should be able to gain the most points after winning stage 1 and currently sitting P4 in stage 2. Couple laps left to go until we get the stage finish, but no caution, so it's going to be interesting. He's currently 16 seconds back from the leaders, still has a long way to go, but he has very new tires compared to the rest of the field.
Yeah, trying to take a look to see what other developing stories could be happening. We see Myhand and Rawls battling next to each other. This is for second place. Everybody else is either more than a lap down, or Robinson just got just put himself back in the lead lap as the 25 and 29 continue to tango with each other, or did the tango with each other, I should say, passing each other once almost every lap.
Something to consider is looking at the lap times. Johnny Eckert's last lap was a 23.858, whilst Tom Ogle, who came down sooner than Robinson by 1 lap, his last time was a 22.511, so over a second quicker for the 83, and he's going to be trying to get his way past the 2 shift cars in front of him, but it's not going to be easy. Passing has not been easy all race and even in real life, but with those new tires, it should make it a lot easier than what it would be.
Yeah, and you can see right now Eckert, who is your current race leader, went down on lap number 50, almost 50 laps ago, and then Robinson, who came down about 10 laps ago. You can see the massive lap time differential, averaging from about 0.8 of a second to over almost 1.2 seconds. It's averaging about 0.95 tenths of a second faster every lap. So he is gaining time, almost a second a lap time in some cases over that. So in about 10 or so laps, theoretically he should be about 9 seconds behind the race leader. Of course, as the run goes on, the tires are going to slow down, and Eckert should be going down pit road here very soon, based on when he went down pit road last time. So we should be seeing Robinson and Weeks back. Excuse me. We should be seeing Ogle and Robinson back in the lead lap within the next 5 or so laps. Probably within the next 2.
Well, I wouldn't quite count them out for a win just yet if a caution does come out. Johnny Eckert will be able to benefit, but as things stand, Ogle is able to gain a lot of time. Just cut into the 10 seconds to the race leader and is quickly gaining. Last time was just under a second quicker than Johnny Eckert, so the tires are starting to flatline, but he doesn't need to make an extra pit stop, and with an extra pit stop you're going to be down pit road for about 40 seconds, and that's over a lap you have to then make up and then pass those cars, which may just give it to you because you're on new tires, but the biggest but, you're going to be losing a lot of time whilst the leaders don't need to make a pit stop for the rest of the race if they choose.
Yes, sir. With only, I'd say, just about 9 laps to go here in stage number 2. Johnny Eckert is our race leader in that number 90 machine, and you see, as Carlos was talking about, needs to head down pit road here pretty soon. That'll give way for Tom Ogle to take that lead back over as we're riding on board with number 30 of Josh Robinson. Right now, he's down in the 5th position. Dallas Mahan right there from Shift Esports is in 4th. Seth Ross, the driver out of Shift Esports, is in the 3rd position. And Kynan, as we look at this race here now taking down towards the end of stage number 2, you know, it's really opening the door for a very, very competitive race here towards the end. Once all these pit stops are out of the way, once everybody has the same setup here, it's going to be quite the race on our hands to count this thing down.
Yeah, it's going to be quite the race. See if Johnny Eckert, who has to make an extra pit stop on Tom Ogle, John DeBarro, and Joshua Robertson. So those 3 drivers don't need to make another pit stop unless we get a caution, whilst the rest of the field do. So Johnny is going to have to try build a gap, but that gap that he currently has to the 83 is quickly falling. Currently 5.5 seconds at 5 laps left in the stage, so we can really see what the tire difference is going to be, and when Johnny does come down first, we'll be able to see him fly his way by the rest of the field. Then he has to then suffer the consequences of having to take that time down pit road.
Yeah, as we're going to watch right now here, we're counting down the end of stage number 2. For Johnny Eckert, though, if he does hold on and push this thing to the end of the stage, it'll be quite a win for him here, and those bonus points will be very, very beneficial, as we've spoken about a few times here tonight. The reason why we keep touching on that, folks, is that this season is almost over. We only have a couple races to go, actually 2 races to go here to end this season out. So as many points as you can snag here, especially with Nicky Delicato out, Barry Paul Hemus out of this race here tonight as well. You want to try to snag as many points as you can, as now you see Tom Ogle right there, Johnny Eckert as well. And Johnny Eckert has, it looks like DJ Weeks right there trying to get his lap back. With that battle taking place, it might give way for Tom Ogle to eat into this gap now between him and the 90 machine.
With Eckert probably going to just let the 97 by, not wanting to put up too much of a fight, but in DSCR there is no stage caution, so we're going to keep racing it out, let the natural stories unfurl and keep the racing raw. But with that, it's going to be bring the 83 into contention even more lap by lap, and we saw him be running a second a lap quicker. Currently last time by was a second nearly exactly again quicker than Johnny Eckert, but DJ deciding to stay behind Eckert, maybe going to be trying to play a bit of teamwork, or maybe just not wanting to push the matter and just take it easy. Maybe knowing Eckert will be coming in a little bit sooner, but you can see DJ looking to the inside as Eckert is going to give DJ the position, but this has allowed Tom Ogle to be able to put his nose up the inside and is going to clear Eckert going down the back straight away.
Yeah, there goes Tom Ogle now as our race leader down into corner number 3. He used that draft off of DJ Weeks for just a little bit, which pulled him across the front of Johnny Eckert there in that 90. When looking at those lap speeds on the top of your screen here live on 3 Wide TV, who is running a whole second faster there. Kind of as we're going to now cruise it down here, down into the corner. Tom Ogle is still our race leader with about 3 laps to go here in stage number 2. He's going to take the line here. About 2 laps to go here in stage number 2. This will be back-to-back stage victories for Tom Ogle here as we come around corner number 1 and 2.
Stage 2 ended 3 laps ago.
That was my hand in the pits. As well as Johnny Eckert. So the final pit stops for those drivers that needed to make their one last pit stop have now begun, but now's the time not to slide through a pit box and lose any time possible. If a caution does come out, you need to be in position to not lose a position to the car behind you, which in this case for Eckert was Robinson, who's on a different pit strategy. So you're really looking at DJ Weeks, which we saw a lap down. So it's a bit of a 2-car race between Ogle and Robertson, but towards the end of the race, when pressures are at the most, we don't know what will happen, but Eckert gets a fairly clean pit stop. There was a bit of sliding through the pit box, but it doesn't seem to have been that bad of a time waste, but now he has to get back up to speed and nurture those tires back into the working window and not burn them up too much too quickly.
Yes, Tom Ogle's going to take us down the backstretch as our race leader has now Josh Humpson there in that 30. Only 2 cars left on the lead lap here on lap 116. Tom Ogle's going to take us down the front stretch here at Richmond. Across that line here on lap 117. We're going to cruise down to corner number 1. Still our race leader right now. And kind of we're watching this thing take place. Josh Robinson's really the only other car that has a shot at this race here tonight. And with that being said, what do you think's going through the mind of the 30 machine, knowing that he's really the only car that can put anything on Tom Ogle there at the top?
Well, right now you just need to be worrying about yourself. Just worry about doing what you've been doing the whole race and not making any mistakes. You know you're on the preferred pit strategy, but you've got to now execute it. I know I've been in positions where it's looked like I'm going to win, but a couple small little mistakes have cost me dearly, and ultimately that's all you need to do. When you're in this good position, you need to just keep the car underneath you and not throw it away into the wall or spin off of turn 2. Or even get into the side or into anyone that could result in your car getting damaged or, if not worse, a DNF.
Yeah, that was a correction on my fault here. Johnny Eckert was actually the winner of stage number 2, but you know, he really pushed the envelope there. He took the gamble to get those stage points, but now it's seeming to cost him just a little bit, as now he's down in the 4th position, a lap down here on lap 120 here on the 3 Wide TV. This is the 4th chase playoff race here tonight at Richmond. We're seeing the Josh Robinson there in the 30 machine across this line here in 2nd. He's eaten into that lap time just a little bit. Ryan as we now come into 1 and 2, heading down the backstretch here. I really think if Josh can try to just keep his pace, keep that momentum as we dig down into corner number 3 now, keep that pace, keep that momentum, he can really lock into that objective of chasing down Tom Ogle, and he has plenty of laps to do that.
Yes, he's got plenty of laps, but with the tire advantage only being temporarily in his advantage, it's not going to be easy. But Johnny Eckert, that last time by, just went and set the fastest lap of the race at a 22.289, so Johnny is coming very quick, but being a lap down, he has a lot of work to get his way through. But first and second just need to take it easy, not really fight each other. Last time by, Robertson was a little bit slower than Ogle, so Ogle maybe getting a bit of a better run through a corner has been able to extend the gap slightly, but Robinson does certainly have the pace to take it to him if the time is presented.
Yeah, I think it will be presented the way that he's been running there in that second position. Josh Robinson, I spoke about it here to start this broadcast off, has been really consistent, been coming on strong. A little bit overshadowed by the rest of the speed here in this series. Some of the drivers here tonight that show that speed aren't racing here at Richmond. And of course, with 2 weeks off, some drivers get caught up into that kind of, maybe you took last week off, not only from iRacing, but from your job. You need to make it up here as well. A lot of these drivers have in real life responsibilities they need to take care of, as well as a lot of people are probably went on vacation as well last week for that Thanksgiving holiday. But here tonight, it's been the Tom Ogle show there at the top of the grid here on lap 125. Going to cross this line here, make it 126 down into corner number 1. It doesn't take away from the racing we've had past the leader, though. Khan has been very competitive. You've seen a lot of moves being made, very strategic race with the pit stops and everything. Johnny Eckert pushed that envelope. One stage number 2 snatched away from Tom Ogle there at the top of the grid. But as we come off of 4, it's still going to be Josh Robinson trying to creep up to Tom Ogle to make that move for the lead.
Yeah, throughout the entire field, we saw the two shift cars racing each other for a bit, but right now the real battle is for first and second. Robinson was quicker than Ogle by 0.3 that last time, so is quickly chipping away at the gap, but with their time quickly falling away, currently sitting on time updates on lap 128 of 175. Time is running out, less than 50 laps left to go. We've seen earlier on that first run that the 83 does have more pace than the 30 on the long run, so maybe Robinson just trying to change up something in his driving to get a little bit more pace. Or maybe he was just holding back a little bit, waiting to show it for the end, and maybe catching Ogle snapping a little bit and being able to snap away at his boots like a bear trap and be able to trap him in his prey and be able to take him home and ultimately hopefully take the winner's trophy home.
Yeah, Kaya, I have to say that's about the most Australian reference you've ever made here, and I've done a few broadcasts with you, and I appreciate the Australian reference there, Kaya. You gotta throw more kangaroos, some more alligators in there, a few more Australian references, because kind of folks at home don't know that you're actually broadcasting live from the great country of Australia. You spoke off air about how it's a big celebration right there as the Socceroos will be going into the round of 16 in the World Cup. But Kiner, we want to thank you for joining us here tonight, because I know right now, I think it's tomorrow in Australia, so I know for you it's a whole different atmosphere. You're doing a morning race than a night race here on 3Y TV. But Kiner, as we're counting down this race here on lap 131, we'll talk to a driver who won last week, but here tonight didn't have the race that he was playing on here. You're now joined by Jake Bustos there in that number 74 machine. And Jake, tonight you're out of this race here on lap 132. A bit smaller field than what you had to deal with last week at Kansas. You won at Kansas here tonight. Tonight at Richmond didn't go your way, but tell us what makes this track so hard, and what do you think it's going to get the job done here for these leaders?
I think the hardest part is just really the corner entry here. It's so, what's the word? It's a little skatey when you get into it. You get on the brakes and the back end just wants to step out. And then if you're not hard enough on it right when you get into it, it kind of sends you up the track, and it's just, it's doing a little damage to the tires. But really, I think the key to winning tonight is just that good rhythm. I think if I had to pick someone, I think Tom's going to be the one that you got to watch out for tonight.
Yeah, we've seen that strategy from Johnny Eckert to stay out there on stage number 2, got those stage points. And unfortunately, you're not a playoff driver, so you're not in that chase for the championship there at the end. But looking at that points table, look at the drivers that we have here tonight. Tonight we had no Bear Paul Hemus, no Nick Indelicato. So as you just mentioned, Tom Ogle there at the top of the grid, Josh Robinson there as well, Johnny Eckert. Who do you see being really in contention and possibly snagging that championship at the end?
He hasn't really had the best luck lately, but I don't think you can really count Johnny Eckert out. He's one of those guys that he's going to find a way to be where he needs to be when we get to the last race or so. But the long run pace that Tom shows, I would probably put him a dark horse there to sneak up and grab it.
Yeah, speaking of Johnny Eckert, he just got his lap back there, so now he's back on the lead lap here on lap 137. And Jake, before we let you go, my man, we only have 2 races of the season left here in the DSCR. Looking back on this season, what can you take from this season, possibly into next season, and how can you finish this season strong here in the DSCR?
Just rhythm. These cars are huge rhythm cars. If you overheat the tires, it just takes so long to recover them in this next gen car, and she's a little bit of a bear, and I think a lot of drivers were taking this season as their kind of their tune-up season to get ready for further on down the road. So hopefully, what I'm going to take from this season is just making sure I don't push too hard at the beginning of the runs and burning the tires up.
Before we let you go, Conan, did you have any questions for last week's winner, Jake Bustos, who unfortunately here tonight, going to be his night there in the 74 machine, but still a good run last week?
Well, I really just have one question is, we've seen a couple drivers drop out and some getting up into the wall. Is the car just tight or does it get loose on old tires, especially coming out of turn 2?
It feels more like it skates coming off of 2 than it does actually push. Corner entry is super loose. Even in practice and qualifying, just getting on the brake, the back end wants to step out, and it's rough because you have to keep it that low so that you're not, burning your right front up later on in the run. And I think I spent more time turning to the right on corner entry than I did turning to the left.
Jake, we appreciate you taking the time with us here, my man, and we'll see you possibly next week here in the DSCR. Again, congratulations on last week's victory, our first non-playoff driver to snag a victory here in these Chase playoff races. But tonight's not going to be your night, my man, and we appreciate you sticking around with us here for this interview, and we got just about looking at around 34 laps to go here tonight. Hopefully this turns into quite a race. It looks like it's going to be, as Josh Robinson there is getting a little bit of speed as well as Johnny Eckert. But Jake, we appreciate you taking the time with us here, my man. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. Take care, gentlemen.
So that was Jake Bustos, the winner there last week at Kansas in that 74 machine. And, Kynan, he spoke about it. He spoke about some of his favorites here in this series. Tom Ogle with a long and run speed, and you're seeing it here. He actually brought up a great point there, Kynan. In the short runs, it looks like a few drivers can compete with Tom Ogle. You saw it there on the restarts, really competing there on the back bumper, keeping pace. But as these runs have kind of spanned out, the tires are getting a little bit more worn, he's getting a little bit more comfortable with his race car. That's when you start to see these gaps. Because right now, the lead was almost down to less than a second. Now it's almost back to a full 2 seconds. Johnny Eckert's trying everything he can. He needs some nitrous oxide in that number 90 machine. Try to get back up here to this lead. But here on lap 144, it's really been a Tom Ogle show, with the exception of Johnny Eckert there winning stage number 2, pushing that pit strategy, which may hurt him here in this long run to end this race here tonight. Really impressed from Tom Ogle. He needed a victory like this here tonight. With a small field, that's okay. It's still all about what you do inside your race car, coming off corner number 4 right now, down the front stretch. And for him, this is going to be a huge confidence builder heading into those last 2 races of the season.
Yeah, when you're able to pick up a little bit of momentum, even if some people may call it a Mickey Mouse win because it's a small field, I see it as a legitimate win. He's been able to keep his car out of trouble, been able to do everything right and have the pace where it matters. And if he's able to pull it off, there's still quite a bit left to go in this race. About 38 laps to go, I believe that is, by calculations. It's quite late here at Richmond, so it'd be nice to have some sort of energy booster, but right now Ogle probably has a lot of adrenaline running through his body watching the relative, but he is starting to open up the gap to Robinson. But someone who's going to be quickly trying to claw his way up and take away the glory of first and second is going to be Johnny Eckert, currently 18 seconds back. Last time by was only 0.3 quicker than Ogle, so the tires have now flatlined between them, and it's not going to be easy for Eckert to be able to claw his way back up without a caution.
No, unfortunately not. You saw that speed from Johnny Eckert there, passing the leader, getting his lap back, putting a lot of hard work to do so there, kind of get that lap back here as Tom Ogle is going to take us down that backstretch. Still our race leader here on lap 149. Coming around 3 and 4 right now is Josh Robinson right there in the second. Johnny Eckert in third. There'll be 3 cars up on the lead lap. Dallas Mahan's down in the 4th position. Seth Ross is in 5th. John DeBarro in 6th. DJ Weeks in 7th. And David Westergreen is down pit road, retired, out of the race car, grabbing a hot dog and a Coke because he is in the 8th position, as well as Jake Bustos, who we just spoke to. We would appreciate him taking the time with us here on 3Y TV. He is as tonight's race, as well as Nevin right there in the 10th position. As right now, with 25 laps to go, we want to thank all of the wonderful sponsors here in the DSCR, including Many Rays, Cemetery Landscaping Services. They've been a season-long sponsor of us here at the DSCR. Without them, none of these broadcasts would be possible. None of these races would be possible. As well as Pro Air. We always refer to them as the AC company that never existed, as me and Carlos got them confused with an AC company to start the season. They're a medical supply company, so we want to thank Pro Air as well for being wonderful sponsors here in the DSCR, for making all of this racing possible, all these broadcasts possible here. With only 2 races left to go in the season, it has been a magical season here in the DSCR with a lot of racing, a lot of competitiveness, with Nick Delicato winning a bunch of races, but here in the playoffs, struggling just a little bit. Barrett Paul-Hemus has earned the moniker as Darth Vader, the way he has come into this playoff races with that red and black machine, looking like a mix between Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader, all combined in that race car. Winning here a couple races in these chase playoffs put him on the top of the table. But here tonight, with 22 laps to go, as Tom Ogle is taking us down to the corner, down the backstretch right now, he could win this race here tonight, and it looks like he will do so here. It looks like he's got this thing in the bag, foregoing any kind of caution on the racetrack, Kynan. If he can sneak up and get his name into the mix, we could have quite the showdown here the last 2 races of the season.
Yeah, that's for sure. Ogle picking up a lot of points, winning stage 1, getting second in stage 2. That's a big chunk of points right there by itself, but then if he can convert those 2 really strong performances in the stage and convert it into a race win here tonight, that's going to be a big boost of points to take to first and second in the championship. And with next week being Texas, even though some people may roll their eyes and think, oh, that's going to be a boring race, I feel like it's going to be a good one, especially from what I've seen in previous leagues. But going to be all about tonight and just being able to close up tonight first. That's the first part that he has to do.
Yeah, that's all he has to do here tonight with 20 laps to go. He's almost, as you dig down to corner number 1, he almost makes me think of the character from Ricky Bobby, Talladega Nights there. He's got his smooth jazz on. He's sipping some hot tea in there, sort of driving around, having a nice Sunday drive, because here tonight, Kynan, he has made this track easy. And Richmond is not an easy track to dominate the way that Tom Ogle has done here tonight. He keeps pace here tonight. He'll lead the most laps. He'll start on the pole here tonight. He'll win stage number 1 as well. So without the exception of stage number 2, he has all but dominated this race here tonight in the Virginia 150 here live on 3Y TV. As we come off of corner number 4, he's going to cross this line here with 17 laps to go. He's going to dig down into corner number 1. So our race leader, Tom Ogle. Josh Robinson is now a full 3.5 seconds off the pace. That was about a 1.5 seconds, not but a few laps to go. So definitely that lead is getting bigger as the laps are ticking down. Johnny Eckert is down in the 3rd position, 16 seconds off the pace, but still a solid run out of Johnny in that 90 machine. Snags a stage victory as well, so going to walk away with not only a podium finish if it all holds. It looks like it will, as Dallas Mahan there from Shift Esports is a lap down in the 4th position. Only 3 cars left on the lead lap here with 16 laps to go. Has been that style of race here tonight, kind of. Pit stops really came into play. No cautions here tonight, which is a change at Richmond as we take a look at that 30 machine and Johnny Eckert right there, bringing up the tail end of these lead lap cars. So an odd race in many facets of the word. No cautions here, no big wrecks, but it's still a great pace here.
Yeah, it's really a testament to how good of drivers drivers are at these next gens. Having spent enough time in the this season, pick up the experience they have. You can see them skating around on exit, especially when they're trying to give it a bit too much beans, but they're able to keep it all under control. And even though it's a smaller field, they've been able to keep it out of each other. Some have gone into the wall, but it's been in a way that it's only been confined to themselves and hasn't been a complete wreckfest that some people may expect and have seen here at Richmond before. So real testament to the ability of these drivers to be able to get around the track and keep a hold of these cars, which from what we saw at the start of the real life NASCAR Cup Series season, they're not the easiest cars to drive, especially compared to last season.
No, not at all. You know, these next-gen cars, I'm a big fan of them. I'm actually going to get on the simulator here pretty soon, grab one of those Black Friday specials they have going on. Maybe create a fake email so I can get
Today's the last day.
new... oh.
Today is the last day to do that.
Oh, good looks there, Carlos. I will jump on there after this race here tonight and get that maybe 2-year deal. I think it's only $50 there, Conan and Carlos. I think that's a great deal. 2 years, only $50. That's less than what I have to pay for Xbox Live. And I'm not even on that as much as I am here on iRacing. But watching with 11 laps to go, Tom Ogle is going to cruise to victory here tonight, foregoing any sort of debris on the racetrack, a bird that might hit his windshield, or anything that might inhibit him blowing a 6-second lead now with 10 laps to go. But we might have a race on our hands, guys. If we look at those lap times, nope, I thought it was a little bit closer than what I saw. Josh Robinson looks to be solidified himself in the second position. Johnny Eckert has solidified himself in the third position right there. Looking down the field, we still have some other cars on the track. Dallas Mahan's down on the fourth spot, still running pretty good for Shift Esports. Seth Ross right there in fifth, so it looks like Shift Esports will continue that run here this season with a top 5 finish. Get 2 cars inside the top 5 here tonight. With 9 laps to go, Tom Ogle will take us off corner number 4 and cross that line, make it 8 laps to go now, down into corner number 1.
Just quickly to go back to the Black Friday deals, I envy your new membership extra discount that you get. You get it for like half the price that me and Carlos have to pay, so your bank account will like you a lot more than us.
Yes, sir, indeed. And I think I was reading too that there's a new starter pack for new users, so you get more cars and more tracks for free to start off there on this simulator. I can't wait to get on the track with all you drivers, and maybe with Kyan, maybe with Carlos here, we'll get racing together, as well as some other guys that I know, Tim Hammond on the track as well. So you guys will have to teach me a thing or two about how to whip the car around some of these tracks here tonight. Tom Ogle will take us off corner number 4, cross that start-finish line with 6 laps to go now, digging down into corner number 1.
We saw Johnny Eckert having a lot of pace earlier on in the stint, but with tyres now evening out, he was actually slower than our race leader of Ogle, but the fastest lap award currently will go to DJ Weeks, who did go quicker than Johnny Eckert by less than a 1/10 of a second. So either way, the fastest lap award will be going to one of those 2 outlaw driven cars. So they do have the pace, but just needs to find a bit of luck to go their way. But with 2 weeks left, I'm sure that we will see one or maybe both of them on the top step of the podium, or at least on the podium before season's end.
Yeah, we invite everybody who's maybe watching the replay of this race here on 3 Wide TV or watching it live with us here tonight to keep an eye out for those point standings after this race. The SCR does a great job of updating everybody for what changes here. Now with 3 laps to go, throw up those 3s. Rest in peace to Dale Earnhardt as Tom Ogle will take us down to corner number 1. Watch out for their Twitter page. Twitter is a great way to keep updated here with the DSCR. They'll update that maybe not after this race immediately, but probably tomorrow morning, you'll see the updated point standings here with only 2 races to go. And we'll see how far Tom Ogle can leap up that points table with those top 2 drivers out of the race here tonight. But with 2 laps to go, Tom Ogle will lead us down to corner number 1.
With time quickly running out, it seems fairly set in stone on our top 3, but maybe if a caution were to happen, although time is quickly running out, once the leaders get the white flag, that will be it. The race will finish under checkered flag and we won't get the field all bunched back up, but with that, Tom Ogle has taken the white flag.
And the white flag is presented by Manny Ray's Cemetery Landscaping. As now Tom Ogle will take us down into the final set of corners here. 3 and 4 will come off of 4 with no pressure at all as he wins tonight here in the Virginia 150 chase race number 4 of the DSCR. And what a win it was. He started on the pole. He finished on the pole here tonight. Also won stage number 1. So he's going to ride that momentum and confidence into the second to last race of the season. As you see, Johnny Eckert there is going to come off the 4, going to solidify himself on the podium. So Tom Ogle, Josh Robinson, and Johnny Eckert will be our podium here from Richmond.
As we've seen in real life, Richmond typically comes down to a strategy race. I thought it was going to be a 2-stop like what Johnny had done, but Tom Ogle was able to roll the dice as well as Robinson, and both cars being in the same team have been able to work together and solidify a 1-2 finish for him.
And Carlos, I'll bring you back up here, and Kynan as well. I think that's my very first broadcast that we've seen no cautions at all, especially here at Richmond.
Yeah, we've seen it a couple times here in through ITV history. But it's always fun to see a caution-free race. It means these drivers, even though there are 10 of them, it's a small field, but that doesn't mean really much. There's still 10 drivers going out it lap after lap and going caution-free. We saw a couple mistakes. One that probably could have been a caution, but thankfully iRacing didn't throw it. But you know, these drivers, they drove the best they could, and I'm sure the admins are going to be happy to not really have to review any incidents post-race. They can all go have an early night, get to work early tomorrow morning to watch some more World Cup instead of working.
This is true, Carlos. As any Mexico fans out there will be a little disappointed that they gave up a goal in the 95th minute to eliminate themselves here in the World Cup. The United States play the Netherlands here coming up here in just a few days. Can't wait for that matchup. But I believe it's time to speak to a hard-working racer here tonight, and that's Johnny Eckert there in the number 90 machine. Worked hard here tonight to get his lap back. Going to finish on the podium, so still a good finish out of that 90 machine. And Johnny, it was a caution-free race here at Richmond. Come home third. Good finish here heading down into the last couple races of the season. Take us through this race here tonight, and how are you able to work that lap back?
Yeah, that was a frustrating affair for my seat. The first run, it's just I felt like I was running a good pace, but I was so close to Tom early on. I feel like I had to try to get out of his wake, so I was trying different lines just to try to get some air to the nose, and it felt like I burned up my tires. I mean, Tom's already a fantastic tire saver, so I mean, it was going to be difficult, but to keep up with him without burning my stuff up. But yeah, I figured that early on in the race, if I could get ahead of him, that would probably be my best chance to, uh, beat him effectively. And I wasn't able to get by him. Then I just tried to hold on, and from there, I burned my tires up. So second run, I pitted a little bit earlier than I anticipated or than I had planned, thinking I might be able to two stop a little bit differently and go for the stage win stage two, which we did. But third run just couldn't get the tires to work the same way. So a bit frustrating. Felt like I had a chance to at least battle for it a little bit, but it was like after 10 15 laps, the tires just the difference in tires between myself and Tom and Josh just disappeared. So at that point, it was just kind of holding on to what I had.
Yeah, it's still going to be a solid finish for you, though, Johnny. You know, tonight you're going to finish third. Going to get a stage victory as well, so still a good points day for you heading into the second to last race of the season. And one thing we touched on during the broadcast here was this small field, and you know, I spoke about how that doesn't really matter. It's all about what you do inside that race car. And was it more of just a singular mindset here tonight with a smaller field? If you could just hit your lines and do your thing, then you can get out of here with some good points.
Yeah, I mean um I don't know. I felt you had to not make mistakes, and that's been something that I've been the king of this season. Last week or last race, Kansas, I just I had a speeding penalty and then a pit exit violation on that same stop. It was just two things on top of each other, and that was the case for I think DJ and um, I think David Westergreen had one too, where it's just you think you're on pit road, you think you're in great shape, and then all of a sudden you just that momentary lapse of concentration, and you get caught speeding, and that completely throws your whole night out the window. So, for me tonight, it was more focusing on trying not to make those mistakes because I've been making them all season. It was time to not do that. Um, and I think ultimately it came out to my benefit just because I didn't make those mistakes to put myself behind. I wasn't the third fastest car tonight, but I definitely felt like I had a chance to to show something. But I the decision without the cautions throughout the race and whatever, it put me a little bit more in the box to have to do something a little bit more aggressive because Tom and Josh are just superb tire savers, and they're able to go great lengths compared to what I am right now in this car. So, yeah, it was just kind of not make mistakes and then see where you wind up at the end.
Awesome, Johnny. Well, looking forward to next week at Texas. What do you think your chances are there? Maybe putting that number 9 machine back in victory lane.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Texas. Not one of my better tracks, but um, you never really know what's going to come out of it. I know when we were doing testing the preseason, um, Texas was going to be a different challenge just with the way the 3 and 4 is in this car. Um, so who really? I don't really know. I just, it's been a running joke this season where it's a question of when I hit the wall for the first time in a race, how hard I hit it that first time, and then how many more times I hit it throughout the rest of the race. As you may or may not have seen on the last lap, I went into turn one on the white flag. Thought everything was great, and then just slid right through turn one into the outside wall. So um, that's a problem. That's a concern that I have for Texas is coming out of turn four. But you never really know until you get there, and we'll see what happens.
Well, Johnny, with the third place finish here tonight, you finished on the podium. As you just mentioned, you might have not have been the third fastest car here tonight, but you do finish third. You got that lap back too, so you finished on the lead lap. There you go, Johnny. And before we let you go here tonight, is there anybody you'd like to shout out? Any sponsors that may have made this race possible for you here tonight?
Well, first off, thank you guys and the broadcast team, Carlos, Will, Kynan, for being part of the broadcast tonight. Thank you to everybody who came out tonight as a league admin. I appreciate it. Thanks to Manny Race for sponsoring the series, Pro Air, Dash or Cash this year, and Davis Warren for sponsoring the chase. If you need tickets to any of their Richmond, was it Richmond, Darlington, Martinsville, and Chicago Street Circuit? Go contact Davis. And but yeah, I want to thank them and thanks to DJ for helping me. You know, put these on every week. Thanks to Jake and D West for supporting me throughout the race tonight. And yeah, looking forward to what's to come in the future.
Yes, sir, Johnny. Well, we appreciate you taking the time with us here, my man. We'll see you next week here in the DSCR, and hopefully that's after a United States victory in the World Cup. So, Johnny, we appreciate you taking the time with us here, my man. We'll see you next week.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. And that was Johnny Eckert, going to finish third here tonight on the lead lap, put in a lot of work to get that lap back. And, you know, he served us a little humble pie there, saying that he might not have been the fastest or the third fastest car on the track, but he got it done. But I believe, kind of, you were catching up with our second place finisher on pit road, and that's Josh Robinson there, the number 30.
Hey, Robinson, Can Jones up in the booth. Do you have a copy?
Hey guys, I got a copy.
So, bit of a strategy played race. So, Was it originally planned at the start, before the race had even began, to try and make it on a one-stop?
It was both Tom and I were gonna go on the one stop, and then you can never predict when a caution's gonna come out. Uh, so we were hoping that we could do our one stop strategy like we were able to, and then if not, we were set to go two stops if we needed.
Well, you talk about a caution, but when about 10 laps left, were you thinking about it, or what was the mindset you had in your head when you saw 10 laps left to go and you were running second?
Wasn't a whole lot at that point. My right rear was burnt off, so I was kind of where I was. If a caution had come out, uh, I don't. It'd have been a real good race if Tom and I both took four, but I might have gotten creative and only taken two to get that pole.
So I saw that you were in a Discord together, and was there any real teamwork in play, or was it all for yourselves?
Usually we do have some teamwork, but it we do almost every week. But tonight, when it was just he and I, even though we were still bouncing ideas off of each other, once we got close to each other, there it was kind of everyone for themselves. But he he was managing his tires really well tonight, and that was definitely the key. I didn't once we got about 60 laps on him, I had nothing for him.
Well, with you saying how it was really every man for themselves, if you had a bit more pace towards the end, would have we saw gloves off, all short track racing, and would have you tried to get your way by, or would have you just ran for team points?
It would have been clean, but Tom and I have so many laps together, especially at short tracks. It would have been some good hard racing, but we would have definitely been clean with each other.
Well, it's always good to hear teammates being able to make it around a track cleanly, but unfortunately we weren't able to see that, but you were able to still pick up the second place here tonight. Who do you have to thank for helping you get out here and pulling out second place?
Want to thank my I'll thank my teammates Tom and then Andrew, who wasn't able to make it tonight. Thank my sponsor Micro Center. If anybody needs some computer parts, they got unbelievable deals going, especially this time of year around Black Friday. Thanks to the League of Mins for putting this on, even though we had a little bit of a low car count, they still showed up and ran the show. And then appreciate you guys doing the broadcast. And shout out to Dwayne, who's probably watching on the stream.
All right, with that, we'll let you go celebrate with your teammate, who we will have to pull up, unfortunately. So you're going to have to hold the celebrations just for a little bit. But anyway, congratulations, and we'll let you celebrate after we get done talking to your teammate.
Appreciate it, guys. Hey, let Tom know there's no more White Claw left.
We'll do there, Josh. We appreciate it, my man.
Have a good one, guys.
And that was Josh Robinson in that number 30, Kynan. And, it was a celebratory mood there for his teammate, finished in the first place position. But I think we better catch up with Tom Ogle before he downs a few of those White Claws in victory lane, because here tonight he has earned them. He started on the pole. He led the most laps. He wins stage number 1 and then wins that race with ease at the end. Mr. Tom Ogle, tell us how you were able to dominate Richmond here tonight.
It's one of my favorite tracks. I like the style. I like the long runs. I just didn't want to make any mistakes. Made sure I drove it off straight, get it turned in the middle. Don't overdrive the car, especially turn 1. It's so wide, you get in there and think you can just throw it in the corner, and you just can't. You can't. You'll burn up your tires, and then you got to get it turned, and just it's easy to get on the gas too soon in 1 and 2 and either hit the wall or just get that snap loose off the corner. So I just really focused on that.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I want to touch on with you about here tonight. We've touched on it a bunch of times, a smaller field, but for you, though, the way you were out front most of the race here tonight, and you just mentioned there you didn't really have any issues, you kept the car out front. Focus-wise, how were you able to maintain that focus and concentration knowing that you had this thing, I'd say, in the bag with about 50 laps to go?
kept thinking, gosh, I wish this was 150, not 175. I got a new wheel. I got a Moza R9, and I'm still adjusting the force feedback. And I kind of turned it up a little bit before the race to get a little bit more feel, and I probably should have turned it back down
Right.
because with like 25 to go, especially with no cautions to kind of shake out your shoulders, it starts to wear on you, and then that distracts you from keeping your focus. And once I made my pit, I was relieved, but then those other guys were running that different strategy. So when DJ or Johnny unlapped himself, I'm like, all right, I'll see what happens here because I didn't know whether he would run me down.
Yeah, he snatched that stage 2 victory from me. I got a bit confused myself here on the broadcast. I thought you had snagged stage number 2, but it was actually Johnny Eckerd there
He
after you
was
made that.
wheeling it. I closed in on him a little
Yeah,
bit there at the end, and I was like, is he gonna? He was up on the wheel. He was pretty loose. Those guys all were loose. I think they just were getting on the gas a little bit early. I've been trying to win one in this league and just made some boneheaded mistakes or just I'm not like, I don't want to say not as aggressive, but like I kind of am not as aggressive as some of the guys in here. So sometimes I just let them go as opposed to crashing.
yeah, but with that non-aggression there, Tom, heading into the second to last race of the season at Texas, you're going to solidify yourself now in the mix for the championship with Barrett Polhemus and Nick and Delicato not racing here tonight. You getting bonus points for winning the stage, you winning the race here tonight, leading the most laps. That's going to put you right in the mix. What can you take from this race here at Richmond? Looking forward to Texas and at Homestead, the last race of the season, that you might be able to use to stash that championship away from Nick and Delicato and Barrett Polhemus.
Well, those guys are really good. I kind of wish they would have been here tonight so I could measure myself against them here. Mile and a half, they're both really good. Well, obviously Nick is really good. So he's going to be tough to beat everywhere. And Josh is really good at Homestead. So he's going to be tough to beat there also. There's tough guys in this league. So it's going to be rough to win whoever wins a championship is going to have to win that last race. It's
Yeah,
going
it's
to
gonna
be
be.
close.
Yeah, you've really made things a lot tighter now with this race victory here tonight. I'd say coming into this race, you were only about, I'd say on the high end, about 40 points away from the top of the table. I think right there, Nick and Delicato was about 30 or so points, and then Barrett Blahemus was at the top. But I think after tonight, that's going to be way down a lot tighter than those two guys wanted to have heading into that second to last race of the season. But Tom, it's you in victory lane here tonight, not taken away from that victory, whether Nick and Delicato or Barrett Blahemus raced here tonight. You dominated here at Richmond, and a huge congratulations here from us at 3Y TV for getting that job done. But before
Hey,
we let you go, as you're in victory lane, was there anybody you'd like to thank for watching this domination here tonight, or any sponsors that made this happen?
my teammate Josh, Andrew wasn't here tonight, but Josh helps me keep focused and keep my pit strategy. And we thought we had messed up the pit strategy tonight a little bit, and DJ and Johnny do a lot of work to keep the league going, and you guys do a nice job broadcasting. So thanks to all of you guys.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, Tom, for showing us
Thank
how
you.
it's done here at Richmond. Big
Thanks.
congratulations here tonight.
It's tainted a little bit without Nick or Barry. I would have liked to have sized myself up against them.
Either or, I think even
Yeah,
with them in the mix, I think you've had still a very awesome season, a very competitive season. Coming into this race, you were third in the points, so still with racing against them, you still have had an excellent season. So I'm looking forward to see
yeah,
what
I'm real
pans out
happy with
at
my
Texas
season.
a week from now.
All right, thanks guys. Have a good night.
Yes, sir. You too. That was Tom Ogle, our race winner there, Kynan and Carlos, and he's talking about how Nick and Delicato and Barrett Polhemus weren't involved with this race here tonight, but I think the way that he drove that car around this track, even with them in the race, I think it still would have been Tom's race to win.
Yeah, it was really his race to win from the beginning. having had the pace early on and then was able to keep it consistent and then try something different with strategy compared to everyone else, which ultimately was the right call to make and ultimately won by quite a decent margin. And with your teammate coming up second, I don't think could have really asked for a better night. Well, you could have won both stages, but pick up first in stage 1 and second in stage 2. I'd say that's a pretty good points haul tonight.
Yeah, definitely a huge points haul indeed for Tom Ogle. And, we wish we had all the drivers here in this field here tonight, but still a great race nonetheless here at Richmond. But before we let everybody go here tonight, we want to thank all those wonderful sponsors here and the DSCR Pro Air Medical Supplies, as well as Manny Ray's Cemetery Landscaping Company, as well as TJ Warren there we spoke about on the broadcast, all those awesome tickets you can get, especially that Chicago street race that's coming up next year here in NASCAR. But for all of us here at 3Y TV, myself, William Tiller, my co-host / pit reporter of the evening, Kynan Jones, and the man behind the decks, Carlos Acosta, we want to wish everybody a great night. We'll see everybody back here next Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a big race at Texas. Have a great night, everyone. See you soon.